Visual Studio Code is my editor of choice when it comes to programming and web development, and there are some extensions that I use to make my life easier when writing code. So today I thought it'd be good to share some of that with you. I'm primarily a web developer and I write a ton of React. And in order to make my life easier when writing this code, I use something called React Redux ES7. It has a long name, but the point of it is that I don't have to spend time writing all the boilerplate code. I can just type in a few commands and it will automatically generate the boilerplate for me. So in React, when you're writing either class-based or functional components, there is a set of things that you have to type out in order to get that component working. And it may take a really long time to do that if you're writing a lot of components, but by using this, it can save you time in the end. So now going into VS Code, we can go into the extension panel and find the React Redux ES7 snippets, install them, and now we have the ability to write in any JavaScript file or JSX file. We can write a command like RAFCE to generate a React arrow function that exports at the bottom. Another popular extension is Bracket Pair Colorizer. This extension allows matching brackets to be identified by color. Thing is, when you're writing JavaScript code, you may have nested brackets, and it may be hard to distinguish where one bracket starts and where another bracket ends, so that when I mess up in my code, it just makes it easier to identify if I have a missing bracket somewhere. I could just go, hover, and then see, oh, this color doesn't line up, so there has to be a missing bracket here, and insert the bracket. We can head over to the extension panel and search up the Bracket Pair Colorizer. You will note that there are two versions here, with version 2 being the one that is supported now, and version 1 has since been deprecated. Looking at our JavaScript file, we can see that every bracket has a color associated with it. The brackets wrapping the argument of the function and the function itself are yellow. But more importantly, looking inside our function, we can see that we have nested brackets, where each bracket has its own color associated with it. The bracket wrapping the map function is purple, whereas the brackets wrapping the argument of that function are colored blue. This same thing can be seen with the console log down below. Next up, we have Prettier. Trying to format your code yourself? Try Prettier instead. This is an extension that prettifies your code to a standard that has been set. Now, of course, the standard can be changed through a configuration file, but it just helps everyone on the team work more efficiently so that they don't have to worry about how the code looks in the end. We can head over to the extension panel and install Prettier. If we have a bunch of spaces, or copy and paste from another location, we can hit save and you can see the code be formatted with all the spacing and all the correct tabs. Next up, we have an extension that is my all-time favorite when I'm writing code for web development. It's CSS Peek. When working on a large web development project and you have to make a change to some specific CSS style, it can be very daunting to go into the CSS files and find where the specific file lives. So what CSS Peek allows you to do is that it allows you to go into the definition of that class or ID or element and change it. And when it's saved to that specific file. Essentially, it's a CSS inline editor, and a very powerful one at that. Next up, we have Live Server. With this extension, it brings hot reloading to static files. If you're working on a small project that only comprises of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can bring hot reloading so that anytime you make a change to any one of these files, the changes are automatically seen on the web browser. Here we've set up a sample static HTML and CSS project to demonstrate how Live Server works. After installing the extension, in the bottom right, you're going to see a new button that says Go Live. Now this Go Live button is only present when you open the folder containing the project. Clicking on this button will start up a local development server that allows you to view your static files and make changes on the fly. As we can see, we have a web page loading in our web browser on localhost. Now we can make changes in our code, hit save, and see them automatically reflected in the browser. That's hot reloading in action. Let's make an even bigger change in CSS. Let's raise the font size and change the text color to black. Head over to our web browser and see it right there. Next up, we have to do highlight. Now, code documentation is very important when it comes to working in a team, as it helps people understand what needs to be done. But code annotation is also very important as well, and to do highlight comes into play as it highlights things that need to be either done, to do, or fixed directly in the code base. Meaning that if you go to a file, you can look at the documentation for that file and see a highlighted version of either fix me or this needs to get done. It just helps everyone see visually what needs to be done or fixed in this file. All of these extensions I've linked in the description below, and these have just been a few of my favorite VS Code extensions that I hope you found helpful as well. Alright, don't forget to hit the like button down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.